Apart from a fuzzy yellow ball, what comes to your mind when you think of tennis? Now, if you're anything like me, then you probably thought of grand tournaments, flashy endorsements, and prize money. Lots and lots of prize money. I mean, professional tennis players make millions of dollars like it's a piece of cake. But what if I told you that, out of all tennis players ranked in the ATP Tour rankings, only 5% make more than $50,000 a year? As unreal as it sounds, this is the harsh reality behind how much tennis players actually make. You see, back in 2020, Forbes released their yearly list of the richest athletes in the world. And it turned out that the highest paid athlete on the planet was a tennis player. Now, I'm sure you already know who it is. But just in case you missed the memo, it's the tennis maestro himself, Roger Federer, raking in a mind-boggling $106.3 million each year. But that's not all. The highest-earning female athlete on that very same list? You guessed it, another tennis player. So one thing is clear. When it comes to the bag, tennis players are in a league of their own, right? Well, if your answer was yes, then you're wrong. Because it also turns out that behind the scenes of every popular tennis player you know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of tennis players that earn peanuts. You see, only 13% of all ATP-ranked players bring home over $100,000 per year. Another 5% manage to scrape together about $50,000, while 8% hover around the $20,000 mark. And that's excluding taxes and other expenses. When you crunch the numbers, a staggering 76% of all players make less than $20,000 a year. Let that sink in for a moment. To put everything into perspective, over 70% of tennis players around the world earn as much as your friendly neighborhood McDonald's worker. When you consider the grueling demands of the sport, that's not just bad, it's downright horrible. Don't get me wrong. Being a professional tennis player can be the only money most people paint it to be, if you can make it all the way to the top. But what they don't tell you is that reaching the top is harder than climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in roller skates. And if you turn out to be completely independent with no sponsorships or endorsements, which is almost always the case, best believe that you'd get knocked off by bills faster than you can climb. You see, if you've ever played tennis, you'd agree that low-ranked players often find themselves in a financial pickle. Because it's almost like their bank account has a built-in backhand feature that makes money just keep flying out faster than they can swing a racket. First of all, you need to travel very long distances just to participate in futures tournaments, the lowest rank of professional tennis, in order to gain valuable experience, and of course, build your claim on the ranks. Now, trust me when I say that alone is the real ghetto, because if you know a thing or two about traveling, you'd agree that it's no child's play. Players in the challenger levels need to travel in economy class to cut costs, and based on that, their average cost per ticket is usually $400 to $700. When you add in coaching fees and equipment expenses to that list, you'd get why their wallets become trapped in a never-ending baseline rally. Most of the times, they even end up spending more than 3 times the amount they make from playing a single tournament. This is because that one of the main ways tennis players get paid is through the prize money they receive from participating and winning rounds in tournaments. And in that case, the level of tournament a player participates in will determine how much money he or she will make. You see, before a tournament starts, the organizers announce how much money a player will make depending on which round he or she exits the tournament. So there's always a flat amount that players will receive just for participating, even if you get knocked out early. And when it comes to Grand Slams, the compensation can be up to $58,000 sometimes. Making $58,000 for one match? That doesn't sound too bad after all. But you see, there's always a catch. In order to qualify for a Grand Slam like the US Open, you mostly need to be ranked among the 104 best players in the world. Let's just say that not every pro player gets a golden ticket to the Grand Slam chocolate factory. The lower the tournament rank, the lower the payout, leaving winners of smaller tournaments barely scraping the surface. So, while the first loser of a Grand Slam walks away with over $50,000, the winner of a smaller tournament doesn't even get 1/8 of that amount. Yikes. Now, if you don't think that's the highest level of inequality there can be, I don't know what is. And to make it worse, ITF players aren't the only ones that have had it bad. Challenger tournament players also get their own fair share of the underpaid pie. Because according to the Lawn Tennis Association, it costs about $400,000 to develop a challenger qualifier from age 5 to 18 years old. So even though many players in this level get financial assistance from their country and minor endorsement deals from brands, participating in tournaments is still as financially taxing. Essentially because they have to participate in double the number of tournaments just to get noticed in the endless pile of players on the ranking table. The financial burden only gets worse when you add the cost of hiring a coach that can charge $3,000 weekly for players at this level. Yes, $3,000 a week. Now you're starting to see why not being at the top is a tennis player's worst nightmare, right? And it's not just about the cool cash that rolls in the form of prize money. You see, in addition to taking a share of the official prize money, the best players still get some big checks when it comes to appearance fees. In fact, the dream of every tournament director is to have top players in their tournaments, since their appearance makes it easier to sell more tickets and make more money. In return, the players charge an appearance fee, and when you're in the league of the big three, you get the chance to charge up to $1 million just to participate in the tournament. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Being a top athlete comes with a lot of advantages, and one of them is endorsement deals, the oil money of tennis. Players who are earmarked to be the next best thing will also attract sponsorship deals, as long as there is a steady upwards curve in their careers. Success on the court translates to sponsorships, endorsement deals, and, at a minimum, a sponsorship deal for apparel and rackets. Take Roger Federer, for example. You see, out of the $106.3 million Roger Federer made in 2020, only $6.3 million came from tournament prize money. Back in 2021, he only managed to play 13 matches, yet he still earned over $80 million. So where the heck does all that cash come from? The answer? Endorsement deals. Now, it's no news that Federer is arguably one of the best tennis players on the planet. I mean, the Swiss superstar has about 20 Grand Slams behind his name. And with a career portfolio like his, it's no surprise that tennis players with his level of achievement are endorsement magnets for the biggest brands in the market. So here's the thing. If you know anything about endorsement deals, you'd understand that it's more than just wearing a shirt with the brand's logo on game day. Most of the time, the athlete has to embody the brand's ideals and purpose wherever they are, no matter what they are doing. You can think of it as some sort of investment that the brand makes. Only in this case, the tennis player is a living, breathing billboard that gets paid for being successful. And, of course, super popular. Now that's where the problem lies. Most of the time, only the A-list tennis players get to enjoy this privilege. And if you're wondering why, the answer is easier than you think. The truth is that sponsors and endorsement deals follow the best players. And let's be real, you don't get any better than Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal. So, in order to get the attention of bigger sponsors, players typically have to break into the top 10 in ranking. And trust me when I say, it's not as easy as the big dogs make it seem. And in the end, not every player that puts in the work gets to the top. So, players get knocked to the ground by life, and others simply just fall off because of how extremely demanding tennis can be. Not just physically, but also mentally and financially. In a nutshell, the uneven distribution of cash in the tennis world only creates a loop that makes rich players richer and poor ones poorer. Now, if I'm being honest, tennis, just like many other aspects of life, is far from being equal. And until something is done to change that, lower-ranked players will continue to be treated like second-class citizens. So there you have it, folks. What's your opinion on how much tennis players in different levels earn? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to learn more interesting things about your favorite tennis players.